Shar'ron, are you ready?
I am. I'm so excited. I don't know what to do with my life.
All right, so Shar'ron is in the process of getting the link up on YouTube, or I'm sorry, on Facebook. And I'm going to do the same thing here real quick. And then we are going to get a move on.
That's too funny. We got the two Ericas next to each other.
Good evening, everyone. I am Kathy Holloway Hill, and I am so excited right now because we are live on the Living by Design show. Woohoo! And we are having a book launch party with Miss Shar'ron Mason because she has an incredible book that I can't wait to talk about. And we are welcoming you. So for those of you who are going to be joining us in the chat room, post your questions in the chat room. We have a chat room moderator that will get back to you with your answers to your question. Or if you have something that you would like to be asked here on the air live, then go ahead and do that. But it will be monitored because we have a moderator. So we have to make sure that we keep everything clean and clear. So thank you for that. So I want to say welcome to everyone, but I first want to say welcome, Shar'ron, and thank you for this masterpiece.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on the show. Thank you. Thank you for celebrating with me, all of the team.
Absolutely.
Everybody else. Yes.
Now, Shar'ron, you have a lot of supporters here with you. So do you want to talk about your book launch team that is joining us here?
Yes, I do. So I decided that with this book, I wanted to do something different because I have several books, but this is my first time having a launch team. And I reached out to all these beautiful ladies and they said yes. So what happens with the launch team is they've been helping me to promote, to push, to get the word out that This Is Good Hair was going to be making its debut today. And on a regular, consistent basis, each one has been sharing with their networks, their family, their friends. And I want to celebrate them because without them, the launch would not have been as great a success as it has been. So hats off to each and every one of you.
Yay! Everybody give yourself a hand. So excited for you.
Thank you.
Hey, I was looking for those. Where'd you find those at?
Say that again, Denisha.
I said I was looking for the little emojis and I couldn't find them.
I know, right? They should be down there, little hearts, little hearts. Oh, I see.
I found them.
Oh, good. Now, Shar'ron, I have to ask you a couple of questions about this book. First of all, you did a magnificent job writing this book.
Thank you. Thank you.
And this is a topic that we really need to help our young girls with, because we know social media and just society in general just does a number on our young girls with this hair thing and light skin, dark skin, the image period. So what made you decide to write a book about the hair situation?
Just a little bit of background about me. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. So I'm all about helping people to have the lives that they desire, to be as healthy and as happy as possible. I've done several books for adults, and this is my first children's book. And I'll have to say that this was a daddy download. I had no intentions of writing a children's book, and he downloaded it and I ran with it. I know that for me, transitioning to my natural hair, it was truly a transition. And, you know, we talk a lot about what takes place within society, but that thing usually takes place within the home. when you hear different things about, your hair and your texture, you hear so many different things in your school, so many different places, and we internalize that. And a lot of the adults that I work with today, it's around things that they experienced as children. And so I'm like, okay, I can get around this thing. I also had my own hair care line for natural hair that I had developed. I placed it on the shelf. I still use it for myself, as you can see, but I placed it on the shelf, and I said, okay, I can get behind this because it makes perfect sense. I've experienced these things myself.
That's awesome. Would anyone from Shar'ron's launch team like to make a comment about that?
When my granddaughter read the book, she actually read it before I did. So I had planned on sitting down and reading it with her, but she made some key points that I identified with as I was a child. And then she stated that she goes through it too. In her school, she has transitioned from, ponytails to locks, and she's had locks for 4 years now, and she's 9. But people want to touch her hair at school and things like that, and this is a real deal because these kids do have complexes about the type of hair that they have. And why do other people want to touch my hair? Why do they want to feel it? And the conversations that start at home, we don't think about that when they're going to school, but it's really necessary to bring up because they have questions that we don't even know they have. And she had questions and stated in reading that book, it kind of simplified things for her. And the reaction and the questions that I asked her was amazing. And the feedback that she gave to me. And I'm like, good job. That's what this book was about. And it's necessary.
Yeah, I mentioned to Shar'ron before we came on the air, I mentioned that I didn't want to give everything away about how great the book is, but I do believe that parents will benefit tremendously. Parents, caregivers, grandparents, if you're raising a child, you will, coaches, everyone who has access to a child and has influence on a child, you will benefit greatly from this book. So
yeah, I throw something else out there real quick, Kathy. So I was thinking about, because this was part of the process as well, for some of the girls, they may not be at the age where they can read, or for whatever reason, needing some assistance. So they're going to be sitting there, chances are, with older sisters, with moms, aunts, grandmothers. And just as we're sending a message to the young ladies, some of us, grown women, we're going to be healed in some ways. And so that was a big deal for me, because I love our girls, but I love us ladies as well. And just to have to take a minute and say, oh, I've said some of those things, or I've thought those things about myself, or, when I couldn't get my hair done during the pandemic, I was about to go into some stuff, because, couldn't go to the hairdresser, and who's going to see me with my hair that comes out of my head? I'm going to get caught with it. So thinking about how not only the young girls, but ladies overall, that healing piece right there.
Yeah, I had long hair my entire life, and I just decided to cut my hair. And that's a whole long story I don't even want to go into. But I wanted to keep my hair very short. It was very short. Well, the pandemic, and I couldn't go to the salon as much, and because I had to keep getting it cut and cut and cut to keep it short. Well, I just said, you know what? It is what it is. It's my hair. It's just hair. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm just going to let it do whatever it does. And that was very empowering, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I see a few hands up. Do you guys want to say something? Is that why your hands are up, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I may.
Oh, absolutely.
Good evening,
Miss
ladies.
Erica.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everybody. I have to tell y'all, I met Miss Shar'ron. We called her Angel, so I still call her Angel. But I met her when I was 9 years old. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. I love her dearly. I'm so glad I got to be a part of this effort. So thank you for that. But I want to say this. I am an educator. And I am the dean of students at a school that goes from pre-K to 8th grade. And I was so ecstatic to see this book. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten my copy yet, but just from what I've read with the overview and the summary, I'm so excited to share this with my students. One of the biggest things we deal with, we have a lot of girl issues, and they all stem from poor self-confidence, actually, poor self-confidence. And then they often put each other down to make themselves feel better. Social media has been our greatest nemesis. So I just want to commend you again, Shar'ron, for what you're doing for our young ladies. It is so important. That type of work is really needed. So thank you for seeing the need and then doing something about it.
You are so welcome. And check your mailbox. I personally put it in there today.
Oh, okay. And I have not checked the mailbox. I literally just got home probably a half hour ago. Yeah. So I will definitely do that. Thank you. Are too much. Thank you so much. I can't wait to read it.
Yes.
I see Nicole and Deidre's hands up. Do you guys want to say something?
I can jump in real quick. I don't have a young girl. I have a one and only son, which had beautiful hair down his back, whereas his mother didn't grow up that way. And so me not necessarily having a daughter, I have nieces, but most of them are older. But for me individually, it touched home for me as an adult. As a 44-year-old woman, I'm still struggling with the whole idea of hair, and especially living in corporate America and them stereotyping us and wanting to touch our hair still to this day and ask us 1,000 questions. I've even had a woman stand over the top of my head trying to figure out what was in my head. And so me as a person, individually, I struggle with alopecia, and I've been trying to correct it based upon old habits and things I've heard as a child. My mother never let us go out the house with our hair not combed, and it was combed to the point where she pulled so tight on my hair where I lost it, and her and my sister, because we could not, it was absolutely no to even show back up in the house with your hair not intact. So I struggle with my hair as a child all the way up until adulthood, because now I find myself trying to figure out what is right and what is wrong with my scalp. But at the same time, I thought when I was reading this book about when I was a child and looking at the girl with her hair, with her sitting in between her mother's legs, getting her hair done and stuff like that. And by me being the youngest of the children, and my siblings were at least 10 years older than me, they combed my hair too. And they were taught the same things. And I just think about all the times I sat there. And now as a woman reading this book kind of made me think back as to when the self-hate started happening because my hair wasn't a certain way. So I think that this book is beyond needed. I think that it's time for us to change our thought patterns as to not understanding, if someone's hair is long, straight, curly, or whatever, that it's ours and that God made us that way for a reason. So I'm still struggling with it, but I've come to a better understanding, and this book really helped me go back and think about childhood.
Thank you.
Yeah, Shar'ron, I did a TV show, a panel interview show, just similar to this one. Not a book launch, but it was just a panel discussion about this stigma in the Black community, light skin, dark skin. And that came up, good hair and, and all the foolishness. And was that part of, your vision about this, the Black community and why we do it among ourselves, let alone, other people, as Nicole mentioned, other ethnicities standing over us trying to touch our hair. I mean, we do it to ourselves. So was that part of your vision in writing this book, that we need to stop doing it to each other?
That was the biggest part for me. I wasn't as concerned, other than trying to insulate us from whatever comments or whatever we may find ourselves walking into or being told. And so trying to have that insulation, because, we have those conversations within the home, and then sometimes we go out and it's here comes this thing. However, there are some that within the home, I am being told these things. And when I go out into the world, it's almost reinforced. So if I left home and I already had a complex about whatever the texture of my hair or the length or whatever the case may be, then someone says something about it, it's just touching on this thing that hurt, that's sensitive, and it takes me to even a worse place. And so I was thinking about within the home, but I'm thinking about when you've got that self-confidence, when you've got that thing that says, it really doesn't matter what you think about my hair, because I've got people who are like, oh, I liked your hair better, when you had it straight or it was perm. However, I didn't. Perms would burn my scalp to where it would basically stick. It would stick because it would burn so bad. My scalp was so sensitive. And so, no, that wasn't a good experience for me whatsoever. So it does not matter what the next person thinks about how my hair looked before, I decided that I was no longer going to put chemicals in it. It's about the fact that I feel great about it. And that's that. And I have absolutely no issue with the person who decides to put a relaxer in their hair or to whatever. It's your hair. You do what it is that you choose. But I don't want a person to be limited due to what someone else has imposed on them. That's the part that's really harmful and hurtful. If you say you want to, whatever it may be, it's your hair. You cut it off, you grow it out, it's your hair. And that's not my business what you do or don't decide to do with it. But as for me, this is my hair and I love it, and whatever I don't decide to do with it, then that's my choice.
Amen. Amen. Deidre, did you want to make a comment? I see your hand still up.
I did. So good evening, everyone. So I am also a therapist, and I loved this book, and it's multifaceted. There's so many things and so many areas, so many ways I think we can take this book. As I echo the sentiment, I won't repeat a whole lot that you all have said, but different struggles that I've had over, about my hair. And I remember putting a towel on my hair and wanting my hair to be, from the European standard. And I'll never forget in college, one day I was braiding, I worked at Girls Inc. And I was braiding little girls' hair, and all the little Black girls, I came, they all had me do their hair, and the little white girl wanted me to do her hair the same way. And I couldn't, and her hair wouldn't stay in place. And it was just really hard to work with. And it was at that moment, literally, that I realized, wait a minute, our hair is better than this. Why is this what I aspired to? Why did I think, I'm like, man, look at all this stuff I just did to these little girls' hair. They were just, and so from that moment on, for me, my concept about my hair began to change, and I learned more about just taking care of my hair and things like that. And just recognizing that when I'll say the power in my hair. But that's, we won't go real deep on that, but I wanted to just touch on the fact that I felt like this touches us as adults. This touches the children, and we can use this as a tool when we read to our kids. Her affirmations that are in here. There's a whole poem that I'm going to use with my teen girls. I'm like, oh, we're going to repeat this every week. This is going to be, we're going to adopt Shar'ron's mantra. I got to find out the permissions behind that. But just so many things. And even also, I thought this would be a great book for those like families that do foster care and adoption who have, that have children, that are not, that, maybe white families that have African-American children and they don't really know about hair or the struggles that they may go through. So I just felt like this book was just really, it was really nicely put together. I love the illustrations. I love the hair grease on the couch. You mentioned her mom doing hair. You just, so many things that I felt like I could relate to. And it took me back to my childhood and brought me back to the adulthood. And it's just really good book, Shar'ron. Really, I love it. And I see lots of use for it. So bravo.
Thank you so much. And you talk about the hair grease on the couch. That's actually my oh so defining custard.
Yes, perfect.
When I decided
Perfect
to take it back off the shelf,
I gotta go back and look. I'm gonna go back and look a little harder. I didn't even notice it.
That's that oh so defined.
I love it.
I was like, well, hey, he's asking me what I would want to see, and I said that would be neat because that's something special for me. And some people definitely wouldn't notice what it was. Now my daughter did. It was too. I think that was my daughter. Too Bree. I think that was my daughter, but it was mentioned, that was the product. Oh, that's the product.
I noticed it.
Okay, that was Bree. All right, I knew that was you, babe.
I'm just gonna piggyback off of Deidre. I have a 16-year-old daughter, and we both read the book. And she told me, she said, "Mommy, I wish I had this book when I was younger." And it's very true because she's natural from birth. She's never had a perm. She's never had color, but she's always struggled as to how to wear her hair. And she's 16, so maybe since she's been 12, she's always had braids or she's wanted extensions, which I wouldn't let her get till she turned 14 because I just didn't feel like that was appropriate. But she is a thespian and she is in theater, and in different roles, they struggle with what to do with her hair. If they have to wear a wig and she has braids, they want her to remove the braids. And so this year, we had a breakthrough because the director contacted me and said, I really want to honor your daughter because she was playing an older woman. And buy wigs that are for African Americans. I don't want to put her in a wig that does not represent her. And so I just thank God because I was like, finally, because the last wig she had on looked like a horsetail. And I was like, this is awful. And so now that they're starting to recognize in the theater world that is important. The matching of the makeup, the texture of the hair. It doesn't matter who played the role or portrayed the role. It's about making the person who is currently in the role feel comfortable in who and what they are. And so I've ordered a couple of books. She's going to share them with her theater group because it's several African Americans in the group. And so I just applaud Shar'ron because I think this is going to help that group grow and learn and understand. And they actually loved working with those wigs. They thought they were fantastic. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, Shar'ron, for anyone who does not, I don't know if you can see this or not. This is the cover of the book. And I just love the cover because not only is the title on there, and that's my camera making that circle funny look, but it's a picture of 4 different little girls. And I love that. I just think the it's so appropriate because, good hair, the term good hair, because I've always said good hair is clean hair. So that's how I classify good hair, is clean hair. And I agree with a lot of what the ladies have said, that, you know, it doesn't really matter, because there are so many different textures in our hair, the African American community, in our hair, versus, you know, some other ethnicities like Caucasian. They all have the same texture hair, corn silk. But we have so many different textures, and I think they're all beautiful. And I'm just so happy that we're talking about this today with our children, with our youth, whoever that you have access to in your circle, your youth, your young people, whether they're young girls or young boys, whoever, because hair is such a big deal. So yeah, Shar'ron, we just all celebrate you.
Thank you. Yeah. So I was thinking, as several of the ladies was talking about, just the importance of course, us coming together to have these conversations. Oftentimes we just don't. And we hold the experiences, the hurt, you know, we hold those things in, and we don't necessarily realize that other people have had really similar experiences that we've had. So there's a healing property to just having a conversation and knowing that I'm not the only person to have had these experiences. So the fact that you shown up, you know, and you're having a conversation with us and you're sharing, I mean, that's tremendous there, because somebody's watching, and whether they put a question out there or not, somebody is able to receive something from it, because it's going to resonate, even if it's just, oh, my niece was over and I said XYZ. I was actually talking to my niece the last time we were together. We were going to get one of, what were we going to get? We were going to eat. And we were in the car, and she was just telling me about her hair and kind of the journey, and, you know, well, his journey, and, you know, kind of her experience. And I was so happy that it was just us one-on-one. And we were able to talk about how, okay, if you know, had some breakage or your hair isn't as long as you want it to be, I was like, so how can you just love what you have now? I said, because chances are, you know, it'll grow, you know, you'll experience different things. I said, you probably decide to cut it off at some point. At different points, you're going to decide to do different things. And so those are, I said, but with what you have going on right now, how can you, you know, love it now? And so we had some conversation, and I was like, oh goodness. And so it kind of hurt at that point, because I'm thinking, you're writing a whole book about it, and here's your baby, you know, my brother's baby, here's your baby. And she's experiencing these insecurities and these things, that this is this thing that I really don't like that much about myself, and that I wanted to change. And we don't know all the messages and where all the things come from, but it's up to us to continue to reinforce the right messages and let them know it doesn't matter who's giving you the wrong messages. You know, if it's me and I'm talking to my daughter, if it's not the right message, she's to reject that thing. I don't care if it's your mother, your grandmother, your aunt, your pastor. It doesn't matter. If that message is not one that's building you up, you're not to hold on to that thing, because it's going to, you know, it's going to poison you on the inside, and it's going to manifest in some bad ways. And so it's no, reject that and be okay. Give yourself permission to say, no, that's not right. You know, that's not okay. And so just wanted to share that.
I like that. I like that, because, you know, we're all a work in progress. I mean, if we ever think that we've arrived and we've learned everything we need to know about life, that's wrong. No. As long as we're living on this earth, we will continue to go and grow every single day, and we will continue to evolve. Yes. And as long as we're open, we will continue to learn. And the more we learn, the more we can share with others, whether that be other adults or whether young girls or young boys or whoever. But everyone needs that help, because I truly believe we're in the midst of a mental health crisis. And this is a big one. This is a really big topic for especially young girls. I see young boys too, but especially young girls, because they do see so many images in the media and on social media, and the images just don't match them. and they just don't know what to do with their hair because it doesn't look like other hair that they see. So this is something that is very, very necessary. And I hope, this is my hope, is that some of the schools, and I think Erica mentioned, was it you, Erica, mentioned you were the dean?
Yeah, one of the Erica.
Yes, I did.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. And I'm sorry I
really
didn't put
hoping
my
that-
last name on there, but
Oh,
yes,
no,
I'm the
you're
dean
fine.
of an Indianapolis public school, by the way. So I work in a very tough school. We probably have some of the most challenging behaviors in the district. I mean, I can say that with a high level of confidence. So that's
It'd be
kind of what
great
I'm
if
up
this, if
against
we
every
could get this
day.
into the schools and get this into
Mhm.
the hands of a lot of young people in school, because
It would really
I know
help.
they're struggling.
Yeah, they are. They are. And what you said about being in a mental health crisis, I've been saying that since we returned to school full time from COVID. I mean, these kids have dealt with so much trauma, with losing family members, with not really having their parents being available for them, being left to take care of themselves. It's just so many moving parts with this.
And they don't know how to navigate through their anxiety and their depression and their distress and their everything that they're dealing with emotionally. They don't know how to navigate those feelings.
Yeah, you're speaking about that emotional intelligence, and we don't really focus on that the way that we should. And so I don't know what I'm feeling. I don't know how to process it. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know how to empathize with you for what you're experiencing. It's so many different layers to it. And I think that oftentimes we neglect to look at these pieces and we focus on some of the other things that truly aren't as important, like some of the material things. We'll definitely invest into these things, but these pieces around the mental health, the emotional health, relational health, we neglect those. And what we're seeing throughout the world, I'm going to say, our state, our city, throughout the world is remnants of that. And so when we can really start pouring into the emotional intelligence piece, oh my gosh. And so I tried to put some pieces in there in the book. I couldn't leave the therapist part of me out. It's like you're a whole therapist. So I had written the entire book, and I didn't have those last pieces that you guys are aware of that are in the back. I didn't have any of those pieces. It was just the book. And so I prayed about it, and I'm like, I'm missing something. And God decided to wake me up like 2-3 nights in a row, like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And I'm like, oh, I asked for this, didn't I? So I can recall getting up, coming over to my office and just writing. And I'm like, oh, okay. I laid back down. I was like, he's not done. Got back up, came back over here, started writing some more. And I stayed up for a little while because I was like, oh, okay, you're serious. And in no time, different pieces of it, even the word search. I mean, so some real simple pieces of it, and then some of the other parts that are a little bit more complex for the parenting pieces. I was like, get these parents some tools. I mean, I was a 19-year-old mother, so I get it. My child, yeah, she's still on here. So she knows that she had a truly imperfect mother. She still has a truly imperfect mother. But I did a lot of apologizing, and I'm not sure if you can recall, Brianna, but she asked me one day, she said, why you say sorry so much? I said, I guess I mess up a lot. So if I knew nothing else, I knew that I needed to take responsibility for some of that stuff that wasn't quite right. So I knew that much, didn't know so much to correct it all. But I'm thinking, no, that don't even sit well on me. Whatever this may be, that doesn't sit well. And oftentimes as adults, we forget that we need to apologize. It's not okay to just go do something different. Sometimes our children need to hear, I messed up. I'm sorry. And it's, we're trying to save face, and we've got this pride, and, I'm your mama, your daddy, your aunt, and what I say goes. And that's not the truth. So we're setting them up for failure because they're thinking in the back of their minds, but you're so wrong. That's not right. And if that's okay, why should I care about how I go out here and interact within the world? Because you set the rules and you said anything goes, right? Watch this. So some of the things that, of course, we're seeing take place is because of things truly that's taking place within the home. A lot of people don't want to hear that, but we just have to do better. And hopefully, prayerfully, with more resources, we will do better. We know better, we do better. And so just some resources.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Miss Denisha, you on mute. You know that, right?
Yeah, I see a couple of hands up.
Miss Denisha's actually talking. You on mute. And she was going in too.
Is she talking?
Yeah, she was.
Oh, she is talking. Brianna's hands up. Kevia, Lexi.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So one of you just need to unmute and talk.
Yeah, unmute and talk.
I can unmute and talk. I just so first of all, thank you, Shar'ron, for the privilege of serving on your launch team. I couldn't have served on a better launch team. This book is absolutely amazing. I have two daughters. One is 27. I have to be thinking about it. And then one that is 6. And so my 6-year-old, when we got the book in the mail and I opened it up, oh my goodness, she just like leapt, like, was trying to snatch the book. I was like, we're going to read this together. And she's quite the book enthusiast, but she was really, when she saw the cover, she was just really amazed. So we did read the book together. And just like many of you, for me, it brought back a lot of memories, especially the illustration. The mother is sitting there doing her daughter's hair, the daughter sitting on the floor in between mom's knees and getting that hair done. And so it brought back a lot of memories. And for me, as an Afro-Latina, there were, growing up, it was a struggle really for me in terms of appreciating even my hair, because, on one end, I look, completely African-American, but then they're looking at me like, your hair is a little different though, or you're a cheekbone. What's different about you, right? And then I don't completely fit in, so to speak, with some of the Latina children that were there, because they were much more light skin and hair much straighter, than mine. And so, and I remember, looking at hair and at one point desiring, gosh, I wish my hair was a lot thicker because I could do some of those styles that, and then thinking, I wish my hair was a lot thin. So I was like, I'm in the middle of this, whole thing and struggle with that. It's funny now, but, struggle with that growing up. And for me, appreciation set in. God he has a way of teaching you things and helping you to appreciate things. But in my 20s, my mid to late 20s, this patch of gray you see here, I came in with my mid to late 20s. So I've had this patch of gray since then. And then also after this gray came, I had a bout with alopecia. I had a big spot here. I had about 5 different spots. And again, I'm young, I'm in my late 20s, early 30s. And, that was something to deal with, oh my gosh, I'm losing my hair. First, my hair is going gray. This was fun. Now I'm losing my hair. And so it just brought, that whole experience just kind of brought me to a place of appreciating the hair that God gave me. And Shar'ron, in the book, there's a page where you actually are talking about, hey, God gave, Drew her curls. God gave me my coils. God gave, and how we all need to have this appreciation. And so I think the process of me graying and the process of me going through alopecia, and just at the point where I was like, okay, maybe my hair will never grow back. And I was starting to settle into that. My hair began to grow back. And so for me, just knowing and understanding and having, I wish I had this book when I was much younger, right? So that I could have settled into just appreciating the hair that God gave me, because he didn't make any mistakes when he created me and when he created all of you all and all of you all that are watching. He didn't make any mistakes at all. And I think that sometimes that's something that we should reflect on, because when we don't have an appreciation, whether it's for our hair or whether it's for our bodies or whatever it's for, it is like we're telling God, like, you made a mistake, or, what you created isn't beautiful, right? And so I just truly appreciated this. My daughter, my youngest daughter, my 6-year-old, I appreciated it for her because she can learn early how to navigate these conversations of good hair, bad hair. In fact, I'm hoping she don't ever encounter those conversations. But if she does, she can encounter these conversations of good hair, bad hair. She can have an appreciation for her hair, which, we've always had this discussion, love your hair. I've done it with all my children, my boys and my girls, love your hair, love your hair. And so, but she can know how to navigate the conversations. And so she was just so ecstatic reading this book. She absolutely loved it. And one of her favorite things was the affirmations in the story, and then getting to write her own affirmations in the activity. Oh my gosh, she was super excited about that. So my daughter's excited to, Shar'ron, for everybody, my daughter, she's 6, she's getting ready to start her own podcast on book reviews. She's doing book reviews. And so Good Hair is going to be her very first book review. And that's her choice, wasn't mine, it's her choice. She's just so in love with this book. So that's what I wanted to share. And thank you again for the privilege of serving.
Thank you.
And she's 6 years old?
She's 6 years old.
That's awesome.
Brianna, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, I did. I just wanted to tell my mom how proud I am of her, because this book is definitely something I grew up loving my hair. My hair was kind of sort of my personality growing up. I would change it however I wanted to. I kind of had free range when it came to my hair. I had to be toned down a few times because, like, hey, that's a little too grown. But like, I may not have wore whatever I wanted to, but my hair, I just was able to express myself with that. So I've always loved the journey of my hair and just doing what I wanted to do with it. And sometimes the style may only last for 3 weeks when it probably should have lasted for 2 months, money wise. But, she didn't say anything. She'd say, those are only going to last for 3 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. They'll be so cute though. And now I am 29. I have had my locks for going on 3 years. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love my hair. Like, it's just amazing. And I'm super proud of my mom for getting this book out and helping some other kids. Because like I said, I never really had the issue of not really liking my hair or having to sit there and get something done that I didn't want done to it. So just kudos to you, Ma.
Thank you, baby.
I appreciate that, especially from someone so young, 19.
29.
Kivia, did you want to say something?
Yes, absolutely. First off, I want to say I am godly proud of my sister in Christ for releasing this book. And I just wanted to chime in on my appreciation for the book and just echo on that emotional intelligence aspect. I'm a mother of 4 girls. And one day, my 11-year-old, she literally had a breakdown. And she was 9 at the time. But she had a breakdown because her hair wasn't in weave for school. And I literally had to, just really encourage her from within. And I'm like, hey, your hair is an essence. And as everyone has been saying this evening, it's how God made us. Every coil, every curl, every essence of your hair. Well, Mom, it's ugly. It's just an afro. And I'm like, no, it's not just an afro. It's your afro. So you embrace that. You see what I'm saying? And so, I just shared like a huge appreciation, like everyone else this evening, in that, to me, regardless of what age one is, but especially, for our younger ladies, just to have that to look at, to say, or just as something to add to the encouragement that we all give, as wonderful women, to embrace who you are. And I'm just so, as I said, godly proud of Shar'ron for, putting this out. And I do pray as well that it gets into schools and just different youth groups and things of that nature, so that it does impact in a way to say, hey, you are the way God made you, and embrace your hair, everything about you, but especially your hair. You could walk outside a newspaper and have your hair any type of way, and that's you. You see what I'm saying? So, but that's it. I'm godly proud. I am traveling, so I just wanted to hop on. I wouldn't miss this for the world, but I want to tell you, Shar'ron, that I love you, and I am so happy. Listen, this is an amazing journey. So yeah, God is good. I'm so happy. Praise God.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Well, we're coming up on the end, so unless someone has some, I'm going to allow Shar'ron to have some closing remarks here. We do have the website in the chat room for everyone to go and purchase the book, and we're encouraging you to go purchase the book. So Shar'ron, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I have so enjoyed this conversation, because how you're working on something and it's something special to you, but you're not truly sure what the impact is going to be. And I know that it's going to be an impact because it's God stuff, but it's something, we're humans, and we like to also have that experience amongst other humans to see, sometimes, of course, by faith, we know, but it's that piece of, I get to sit here with my sisters and have a conversation and connect. And we don't often get to do these things to connect the way that we're wanting to connect. And so I am extremely grateful, wanting folks to, whether it's the ebook, which is $2.99, or it's the paperback, which is $12.99. So either, just go ahead and get it. And if you don't need it, gift it to someone. Yeah, if you don't need it, just gift it to someone. But somebody in your life could use this conversation, and let that be just a conversation starter, and be open, because sometimes we think we know that we know that we know, and sometimes we don't know. So if we're just open to have some conversation, I'm hoping that some healing takes places between some mothers and daughters, between some aunts and cousins, between some grandmothers and, granddaughters, whatever that maybe look like. Because sometimes we've been on the receiving end of that pain, that hurt, but sometimes we've been on the end where we've hurt people, and people have experienced pain through our words, whether intentional or unintentional. So I'm hoping that a whole lot of things take place, but the God uses it however he so chooses. I did have someone who had done a review, and she shared that about the piece with having God in it, that maybe I wanted to do another version, but I declined. I'm not doing another version, because this book is what it's supposed to be. And if I pull God out of it, it's all folding. I mean, how do you go about doing that? So I understand that there may be some places that it can't go for whatever reasons, but that's not on me, that's on him. It's his project. So if it doesn't make it in, it's because, for whatever reason. So I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and just happy to be here. And thank you, each and every one of you ladies who have made this launch a success. I know y'all were like, oh, here goes Shar'ron sending that Monday morning message, sending a Monday morning message. And I'll be reaching out to you guys. You may say, I want a break, but I've got my brother's project now. I've got to help him to have a great launch too. And so anyone who may be interested, I want to definitely make sure that I sow into him the way that I would, of course, sow into myself. So yeah, but thank you all. And hoping to be able to return favors, because that's what we do, supporting one another.
And just one last question, Shar'ron, in case anyone who views this, who may want to reach out to you, are you taking new clients if they need a therapist or they need some emotional help?
So not currently, but shoot me an email. It's okay. Love that relationship love.that.relationship@gmail.com. That's also the name, well, not the at Gmail, but Love That Relationship is my private practice.
Okay.
But they can shoot me an email, because if I'm not able to take them on, then I try to get people connected. Like we said, we've got Deidre, she has her own practice as well. And so trying to make sure that I help people to get connected in whatever capacity, because at the end of the day, we all need some kind of help. I love seeing my therapist. It'd be like, oh, this is my time. It's not like when you're having a conversation with a friend, with a family member.
Right.
It should not be. If my therapist is talking as if this is her session, I'm going to want her to take care of that copay and that deductible. But when it's my session, it's about Shar'ron being able to put out and work through it's about me. And so I can be totally selfish in that space. And I hope that everyone would allow themselves to have that, to work through whatever it may need to be. And sometimes it's just about a little bit of maintenance, but some of us need a little bit more than maintenance, and we just need to be real and get in there and do the work. So yes, lovethatrelationship@gmail.com.
Amen. Amen. My producer happens to be on with us because we're going to be closing out, but I think do you have a question, Mr. Producer?
Well, I just wanted to say, first of all, congratulations, Shar'ron, and to the entire team and to you, Kathy. And I also want to say that, I'm the father of 3 daughters. And so when you're a father of daughters, or as they call them nowadays, a girl dad, it's important to have this kind of tool available for you to have the conversation. Because from a traditional standpoint, I mean, when you talk about sitting down with a mother and a daughter, combing the hair, that bonding, that heritage, that legacy, I don't know if a lot of people pay attention to it, but there are a lot of dads that are learning and doing the same thing. So this book is an amazing tool for that opportunity. So congratulations. And I just wanted to put that out there. Get that book, give it to a man that you love, and even one that doesn't know how to do hair, because it'll help him out a whole lot.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Tony.
Yeah, I think everybody recognizes that voice. That was Mr. Tony Lamont, Indy's own. Thank you so much, everyone who joined us live. Also, everyone who is going to be viewing this after the live is complete. Go and get the book. I tell you, I think that it is magnificent. I think you should love your entire self from head to toe, but especially your hair, whether you have a lot of it or a little bit of it or none of it. Love yourself. Please, it is so critical to your emotional and mental health. So I thank everyone. Thank you, Shar'ron.
Thank you, Kathy.
We are going to end and say goodnight to everyone for now. Remember, let's get growing with Living by Design and Kathy Holloway Hill and Shar'ron Mason. Thank you, everyone. Good night.